Hello everyone, welcome to the first in a three-part series of bite-sized webinars from Companies House. This is the first of the series over the next few weeks to help you to understand how to manage and to run your limited company. My name is Gary Townley and I'm part of the communications team here at Companies House. We'll be doing a little bit of housekeeping in just a moment. So while we give people to join, because we're expecting quite a few people to join us this morning, let me explain the content and the purpose of this series of webinars. So over the next few weeks, as I said, we'll be delivering a series of 3 bite-sized webinars. They're only going to last between 25 and 30 minutes long, so they won't take too much of your day. Now, in this series, we're going to look at some of the important issues that a director should be familiar with, which will be including filing accounts, keeping your company cyber secure, and other such issues such as employing staff and funding. Now, to deliver these webinars, we'll be joined by experts from the National Cyber Security Centre and the Business Support Helpline. So please join us over the next few weeks, and you'll find the links in the handout, or if you sign up to our newsletter, we can keep you informed of any upcoming webinars and any other important information that we feel you should know. So today we are going to be starting with accounts. And how to file them and how to avoid a late filing penalty. Now, in addition to me, there is a small team of Companies House experts in the background awaiting your questions. So if you have any questions about accounts, then this is your opportunity to get first-hand advice from the experts. Now, feel free to send your questions to us throughout the presentation, and I'll explain again how to do that in just a minute. Now, we can only answer general questions. We can't go into detail on specific cases, so please don't put any sort of personal data or personal information into the question box. So, asking questions. If you are new to GoToWebinar, I'll just take you through the look of the screen. Now, in front of you, you will see the presentation slides, and in the corner, you will see the tool panel. Now, if you would like to ask a question, you'll see on the tool panel that there is a questions box. Now, to make this bigger, simply click on the icon that looks like an arrow coming out of the box. That's on the sort of right-hand side. You can then type your question into the box, and one of our experts will try to answer that question for you. And you can leave that on your screen if you want, so you can ask questions as we go along during this morning. Now, smartphone and tablet users can ask questions by using the question mark symbol on the screen. Okay, now if you want to save the questions, PC and laptop users can save the questions by clicking on the file at the top of the tool panel and the save message log. Okay, so before we get going, let's see if that works and get you familiar with that. So if you can say who you are, and I'll tell you what, have a guess at when Companies House first opened its doors to the public. Which year was that? And I'll give you that answer in a moment. Now, before anyone asks, you will be getting a link to the copy of the presentation sent to you once we are finished today. And that goes out automatically. It goes out automatically 24 hours after the webinar finishes. So you can actually log on and you can watch the webinar again in your own good time with no interruptions. Okay, so let's look at today's agenda. I can see some questions coming in. People are coming in with 1850, it's close, but not quite right. Opened public in 1972, says Jules. I'm afraid that's quite a way out, that one. 1925, good guess, but not quite there. I'll tell you that in a moment. Okay, so what are we gonna do today? So if everyone's ready and you're sitting comfortably, we'll begin. In this bite-sized session, we'll be covering who we are, and I'm sure you all know about Companies House, but a brief overview. Your responsibilities as a director, how to register for an online account and the benefits of filing online, the different types of account that can be filed, how to file accounts, and when to file accounts. And lastly, we're going to look at late filing penalties, what they are, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. So who are we? Well, Companies House is the registry for limited companies in the UK, and we opened our doors, here, drum roll please, in 1844. So if any of you said 1844, I can see someone did, Ashley, well done. 1844 was the year we opened. We are an executive agency sponsored by BEIS, the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, and our role is to register and dissolve limited companies. We collect company data and we make that data available to the public, hence driving confidence in the UK economy. We have 4 offices based around the UK. That's in London, Edinburgh, Belfast and Cardiff. But most of our customers deal with us electronically, online, as it's quicker, cheaper, and tends to lead to less rejections when you're filing your documents with us. Now, anybody can access the company's register online, and they can do that from their PC, their laptop, or their smartphone, and it's all free of charge. So, your responsibilities as a director. Now, being a company director brings with it a number of legal responsibilities. It's not just a formality, it's a very important role within a company, and failure to comply can result in fines and indeed disqualifications. Now, I hope that hasn't put you off. So what are your responsibilities? Well, as the title implies, company directors are responsible for the management of their companies. They must act honestly and promote the success of their business to the benefit of its shareholders. They also have responsibilities to the company's employees, its trading partners, and the government. You must keep company records, and you must make sure that information is sent to us on time. So, knowing your responsibilities. It's a big long list, but in no particular order. One of your first commitments is really the confirmation statement. Now, every company, including dormant and non-trading companies, must file a confirmation statement at least once a year. This is a snapshot of the company information at a particular date in time. This is a fee-bearing form, and it's cheaper and it's quicker to file this document online. Secondly then, accounts. Now we're going to go into these in more detail in a moment, but your company's annual accounts, which are prepared from your financial records, must be filed by the due date. Now, there are different types of accounts depending on the size and the makeup of the company, and again, most of these can be filed online. 3, changes. Now, changes to your company information, such as the address where you keep your records, changes in directorships, changes in directors' personal details, company secretaries or their details, must be notified to Companies House within 14 days of these changes taking place. Changing your registered office. So if you change your registered office, this may be because you have outgrown your original premises, you moved to a bigger office, you need to inform us, and your address will not officially change until we have registered it. Allotment of shares. If you change your share allotment, and you'll need to inform us, so that could be changing how your shares are distributed, or cancelling shares, or changing the number of shares and their value. And again, this can be done online. Registration of charges. If you have raised a charge against your company, you must send us the details within 21 days. And if you want to know more about that, there is a blog on our blog page about the registration of charges. So if you want to know more about that, visit our blog pages and read the blog on the registration of charges. Last but not least, changes to your PSCs, or people with significant control. These sometimes are known as beneficial owners. These will have been recorded on your company's PSC register when you set up or incorporated your company. So any changes will need to be provided to us. And for more information on PSCs, if you'd like to visit our website, which you've probably visited before, which is www.gov.uk/Companies House, and you'll find more information there. Now, you can hire other people to manage some of these things for you on a day-to-day basis. For example, a company secretary or an accountant. But as a director, you are still legally responsible for your company's records, your company's accounts, and your company's performance. There are also other duties you must perform as a company director, but we're not going to go into those today. That really is a whistle-stop tour through the main responsibilities of a director, barely touching the surface. And as I said, for more information, go to Being a Company Director on the gov.uk pages, and you'll get more information there. So, registering for an online account. As I mentioned earlier, many of our customers, in fact, the majority of them, use our online services, and most of the actions that we've just covered can be done online. But to do so, you do need to register for an online filing account. If you haven't already signed up for online filing, you will need to register, as I said. Now, to do this, you'll need an email address and a password, and you will need your authentication code. Now, your authentication code will have been sent to your registered office address on your company's incorporation. So please check all the paperwork that you receive from Companies House. If you've used an accountant's address or a formation agent as your registered office address, your authentication code would have been sent to that address, so you may need to check with them. Now, if you still can't find your authentication code, you can request a new one to be sent to your company's registered office. But please remember that this can take a few days to be delivered, so please do it well in advance of any impending deadlines if you cannot find your authentication code. Okay, so I'll just take you through the screens for the online filing. Now, on this page, you can see the sign-on screen. So this is who can use online filing. Now, as you can see, most companies on our register will be capable of using the online filing services. So companies with numbers that are all digits, with prefixes NI, R0, SC, etc. And it's also worth noting that you can't use the service if your company is dissolved. Now, I think I'm going to just take a step back here because I think I missed one slide there. Yes, I did. There we go. Okay, so I'll take you through the screens, as you can see, to sign up for the online filing. Now, here you can see the online filing screen. So basically here you would enter your email address and your password, or if you don't have an account, you can select register, okay? And that will take you to the registration screen, which I'll take you through in a moment. You can also see on this screen the type of information that can be sent electronically. So this includes a lot of information that a director is responsible for, which we covered earlier. So that can be your confirmation statement, your accounts, any changes to the company. And on this screen, as you're going in, you can also sign up here for email reminders, which are really important, as you'll see later in the presentation. So now, as I said, most companies can use the online filing service, and on this screen, you can see how you sign in. So basically, if your email address and your password were correct, you know them, then you'll be asked to sign into your company. Now here you insert your company number and your authentication code, which I mentioned earlier. Now, if you haven't got your code, you can ask for one to be resent. But again, as I said, please check the paperwork that you received from us earlier when you set up your company, because you might find it's there. But also check with your accountant or your advisor, because if you've used that address as your registered office address, that's where your authentication code would have been sent. Again, on the screen here, if you haven't got that authentication code, at the bottom there, you can send a little tab which says request an authentication code, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So if you're registering for the first time, so you haven't got an account, basically this is a screen you'll see. Here you will enter and confirm your email address, and you will create and confirm a password. Now your password that you use, and in most instances where you're using online systems, your password must be between 8 and 32 characters long. It must contain at least 2 numbers, as in most instances when you're using an online filing system. And again, in this box, you can also sign up to receive updates from us, which is worth doing, as there are often changes to the law and new regulations that come into force. And by signing up to our email updates, we will keep you informed of any new regulations that come into force. And you do that by ticking the little box at the bottom of the screen. Now, bear in mind, this is separate from email reminders, which allows us to send you and tell you when your accounts are due. Okay, so this is a separate system which allows us to send you regular information. Okay, so if again you ticked on the I forgot my author code, I don't know where it is. This is the page you'll be taken to in that instance. So this is where you need to indicate which part or part of the location where your company was registered. So would be that England or Wales or Scotland or Northern Ireland. So that's where you tell us where you're based. Pop in your company number, okay, and we will then send you a new or your existing authentication code, and that will be sent to your registered office address. Now, again, a reminder here that this can take several days to be delivered to you, so please do this well in advance of any due dates. Okay. So once you've entered that detail, here's the confirmation screen that you will see, and you can make sure that the details are correct before you request the new code. So check your company name, check your company number, and check that registered office address, because that's where that authentication code is going to be sent. If all of those are then correct, you then tick the button request code, and that'll be winging its way to you. But as I said, it may take several days to get to you, so please do it well in advance. Then once you receive that code, you can access your company details and make those important online filings. So the benefits of using the online filing services. Well, by using the online filing service, you're going to save yourself some time and you're going to save yourself some money. Many of the fee-bearing forms are cheaper if you file online. You'll get an instant response and confirmation, so you can avoid making mistakes. Many of the screens that you're going to be using have an online checking system, and it won't allow you to go to the next page or move to the next box until that field has been entered correctly. So it's going to help you to fill in those forms as well. Okay. And as I say, you get an instant response. You're not waiting for any paper documents to be sent to us or paper documents to return to you. So it's well worth using the online service. Swiftly moving on to accounts. Now, every year you must send your annual accounts to us, whether your company is trading or not. This is indeed a statutory requirement. Now, accounts contain details on the performance and the activities of your company during the financial year. A financial year is usually a 12-month period. It starts on the day after the previous financial year ended, or in the case of a new company, on the day of incorporation. Now, financial years are determined by reference to an accounting reference period. Accounts will normally consist of a balance sheet, profit and loss account, notes to the accounts, a director's report, and sometimes an auditor's report. But this very much depends on the size and the makeup of your company. Now, depending on the size and the makeup of your company, it may allow you to file different types of accounts. This can relate to the annual turnover of your company, the balance sheet total, the number of employees, and more importantly, you'll need to file accounts even if your company is dormant. So don't think because you're not trading or you're a dormant company, you don't need to file accounts. You still need to file accounts. But you can take advantage of filing micro or abridged accounts if you fall into these criteria you can see on the screen. So if you have a turnover of no more than 632,000 and no more than 10 employees, you would file microentity accounts. If you have turnover of no more than 10.2 million and no more than 50 employees, you can take advantage of the abridged accounts. So, and of course, as I said, if you're not trading, then dormant accounts would be for you. But if you're not sure about this, you're not sure which category you fall into, then please do seek professional advice. That's why there are accountants out there, for you to use. And if you're not going to do it yourself, that probably is the way forward. But please check if you're not sure what type of accounts you need to file. And then last but not least, you've got full accounts. Now, if you don't fall any of those categories that we mentioned before to allow you to file micro, abridged, or dormant accounts, then you will need to file full accounts with us. Now, the good news is that if you are filing full accounts, it is possible to file full accounts with Companies House and HMRC at the same time. We get a smaller version of the ones you'll be filing at HMRC, and there's an option to do this when you use the online filing service. So, as I said, how to file accounts? Well, the easiest, the simplest, the quickest, and the most cost-effective way to file your accounts is to file them online. As I said earlier, the system has built-in checks to make sure you're filing the correct documents and can help you prevent errors and there's going to be less likelihood of your accounts being rejected. Now, it's cheaper in comparison to paper documents. It also allows us to process the documents far more quickly and get them onto the register so that anyone who wants to work with your company or use your services can see that you're in compliance. And you'll be very surprised how many companies inspect our register before working with someone, working with a company. So having up-to-date records is really important. Now, a word of warning at the moment, really, if you do file by post, we can't accept postal delays as an excuse for not filing on time. Okay, and today's industrial climate, I know there's a few sort of strikes going on, it's probably another good reason to use the online filing service. Posting your documents by first class post does not guarantee next day delivery with us. And of course, we have to accept that document before we can put them on the register. Okay, so when to file? As I mentioned earlier, the directors of every company must file accounts every year. If you're a new company, you'll have 21 months to submit your first set of accounts. If you're an established company, you must file accounts within 9 months of the end of your financial year. Now, it's really easy to check the due date. Just visit our website, select the Find a Company Information option, enter the name or the number of your company, or even the director's name. And you'll be able to find the company you're looking for. On the overview screen of that company, you will see all the important filing dates like the confirmation statement and the annual accounts due date. Please make a note in your diary so you don't miss those dates. Or better still, register for our email reminder service and we'll send you a reminder in good time so you can prepare in advance. It's also worth noting that you can ask for the reminder email to go to up to 4 addresses, so that if you can, you can ask one to go to your company secretary, one to go to your accountant, or if you've got an alternative email address, we can send it there as well. So that way, even if if you're out of the office, someone in your area should receive that reminder email. So you've got 4 addresses we can send that email reminder to you. Okay, now last but not least here, we're looking at the dreaded late filing penalties. Now, failure to file your accounts on time will result in the company receiving a late filing penalty. Now, even if you are 1 day late, okay, you incur that penalty. So please do not leave your filing till the last minute, the last hour, or even the last day. So depending on how late you are, how late we receive your accounts, the level of penalty will change. So if you are not more than 1 month late, it will be £150. If you are more than 1 month late, but less than 3 months late, it's a £375 fine. And if you're more than 3 months, but less than 6, £750. And if you are over 6 months late, it can be a £1,500 fine. And obviously you don't want to fall foul of that. And remember that the penalty will be doubled if accounts are filed late in 2 successive financial years. Okay, so please bear this in mind. And of course, if you don't file your accounts at all, you can be fined, and indeed your company can be struck from the register, and we don't want that happening, do we? Now, we mentioned it a couple of times, but to avoid these late filing penalties, it really is worth signing up to both our email reminder service and our email updates, so we can keep you informed of any changes to company law, and then we can also remind you of the dates these things need to be filed. So really do sign up to those. So that sort of brings us to the end of the presentation. I'll look to see if we've got a couple of questions. I think we've got a couple of questions we had in advance for these. And one of the questions we've got is, can I ask for more time to file my accounts? Now, yes, it is possible to ask for an extension of time to file your accounts, but only for an event that is outside your control. And now, for example, for an unexpected illness, or if a fire has destroyed your company records days before your filing deadline. Now, it's really important to note that the request for the extension must be filed before the filing deadline. It can't be done afterwards. We'll then review your application and we'll make a decision about your extension request. It's really important to file your accounts by the deadline date if possible. You shouldn't wait for a decision about your extension request. If you've got the accounts, file them. Yeah. Now, we'll contact you by email to tell if your application has been successful or not. And we may also contact you if we need more information. If we agree to extend your filing deadline, you must file your accounts before the new deadline date, or again, you may incur a late filing penalty. Okay, and then that won't change your future accounts filing dates. It'll only change for that one yearly period. Got another question here. Can I give my authentication code to my accountant to file for me? Of course, yes. As a director, as we said, you can use third parties to file on your behalf. This could be your accountant or your company secretary, but ultimately, it's the directors of the company who are responsible for the annual filings. You should treat your company's authentication code with the same care as you treat your bank card PIN number. Anyone who knows your code is capable or able to change your company's details online. So only share your code with someone you trust to file information for your company. And we'd also recommend that if you change, your accountant or someone who has the code that you no longer use, it's going to be worthwhile changing your authentication code as well. Okay. Last question. Let's have a look. Yeah, can I file my own accounts or do I need a professional? Most small companies can file their own documents, and the online service will help you to do so. We've got a range of how-to videos available on our YouTube channel, and again, link is in the handout. Obviously, using a professional service such as an accountant can save you time to concentrate on your own business activities. And basically, they know what they're doing, don't they? They know all the rules and regulations and deadlines. So it may be an advantage to you to use a professional to use to file your documents for you. So that's about it, really. Just to wind up, we've got a number of online tools that can help you perform your duties as a company director. This includes an interactive learning tool, which will help you to comply with your responsibilities as director. It's completely free. It will take you through the responsibilities of being a director, how to file your confirmation statement, how to file your accounts, what records you need to keep and where to keep them, how to make changes, who and what are PSCs, and there is a little quiz at the end so you can quiz yourself and test your knowledge on your directorship. It'll take about 25 minutes to complete, and will link you to useful sections of the Companies House website, and to our how-to videos on YouTube. So please have a go. And again, the link is in the handouts. So that's about it. We're dead on time. We've had loads of interesting questions coming in. I'm going to keep the webinar question box open for the next couple of minutes to finish answering them off. Thank you really very much for joining us. If we don't get to your question, hopefully, you know, if it's something we can answer, we get back to you in the next 24 hours, 48 hours or so. Remember, we're going to send you a link to a recording of this webinar in 24 hours time, so that'll be sent directly to you. You're also being asked to complete a very short survey after the webinar closes, and we'd be really grateful for your feedback as it helps us develop future webinars. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you to my colleagues who are still fielding the questions, and goodbye, and we'll see you hopefully on the next one.